Lately I've been thinking about this life and how it brought me here. Staring at this man in the mirror, I see him often here. Wipe my tears, only if you knew what I was going through. Only if you walked it in my shoes. Certain things don't like to talk about, but I'll always remember the chaos in my mind. Turn my heart.
Welcome to the Message Hope podcast, where the hope stands for hearing other people's experience. My name is Adam.
My name is Mike, and today on the show, I have a longtime friend of mine. We used to use together, did a lot of crazy things together, and now we both kind of reunited about a year ago or so, and we're both doing much better. So, Jasmine, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi,
Thank
how
you
are
for
you
having
today?
me. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. So let's start it out. I'm interested to learn some more things about you. Like, I think I know you, but every time we have somebody on here, I learn so much more about them, and so I'm excited. So, Jasmine, tell us what it was like growing up. Where did you grow up? I know you're an only child, but tell us a little bit about that.
So I primarily grew up like in Upland, Ontario area, like back and forth between like my Nana's house, you know. My parents were together, I want to say maybe like 16 years. And like my whole childhood, it was pretty traumatic. Like my dad, he didn't have like a good upbringing. So when he met my mom, his life was like, it was wild and crazy, you know, and she pretty much like saved him. Like he used to roll with like a biker gang I won't mention, and he used to do really bad things, like in and out of prison his whole life, you know, like when he was 3 years old, his grandpa was watching him and getting him drunk, you know, like he didn't have any upbringing. So he was running the streets and stuff, and he just happened to cross paths with my mom, you know, and it was like love at first sight. And she was a Jehovah's Witness at the time.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
She was raised that way? I didn't know that.
No, she actually was not. Okay, so like my mom, she's Middle Eastern, you know, and so they come from a very strict upbringing, you know, like it's like Catholic, Christian, you know, whatever, which one. And so she wasn't allowed to like do anything. She had to be all about her studies. You know, she was a baby out of 12 kids. Like her older brother brought them to the States when she was 5. So she grew up, you know, Americanized, but they, you know, they're Middle Eastern and stuff. And so they used to speak Arabic, but then their language became English. Well, when she was like a teenager or something, the Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, came knocking at her door, and she was interested, you know, they got her, you know, and she wanted something, I think, too, for herself, you know, kind of probably away from, you know, her family life, you know, she probably wanted to branch out and become her own person. I don't know. One of her cousins and, you know, her mother, they became Jehovah's Witnesses too. So like a few of the family members did, you know, become Jehovah's Witnesses. And so she has this strict culture and a strict now religion, you know. And so she runs into my dad, and my dad is he's a barber at like a barber shop, and she went in to go get a perm, you know. And so she sees him, and it's love at first sight, and it was at the Montclair Plaza Mall when it opened. And so, you know, they ended up getting together, and she changed his whole life. Like he became a Jehovah's Witness, and but even though he became a Jehovah's Witness and she, you know, changed his life, it was never like, it never stuck, you know, like he was always, it would be good for a little bit and then it would be bad, you know, and he'd disappear or he'd come back and he'd be drunk as a skunk, you know, and like some like early memories I have are like of the cops arresting him, you know, like me tying his boots and, you know, the cops are like arresting him, taking him away, you know, or like they're fighting. And I remember I threw my bike in the back of his truck and I was like, I'm going with him, Mom. You know, like, because that was my dad. Like I didn't understand it. You know, I'm a kid. I didn't know what was going on. I like that was my whole world. Like my dad was my everything. You know, like how how I am for Lewis. You know. Yeah. And so, sorry,
That's okay.
Come on, don't get emotional here. And so, like my mom, she did everything she could, you know, to raise me right and to give me, sorry. To give me like a stable childhood, you know? Yeah. But he was always doing something. He was always taking off or he couldn't keep a job. you know, or he'd get in trouble at the job, or he'd get in a fucking car accident or something, you know, or he'd want to sue somebody.
Yeah.
You know, it was always something. And so, like, my whole childhood, I'm growing up with this. And then my mom, she's just trying to keep it together. You know, she's like the breadwinner. Like, there was a time where, like, my cousins, they came to stay with us. Damn, I don't know why I'm getting all emotional here.
We do that here.
Yeah.
They came to stay with us. And, like, I remember her, like, bank account got emptied out because something he did, you know. And so I think it was like the taxes or IRS or something. They came and they took, you know, all her money because they had a joint account. So it was like any little thing he would do, it had repercussions. And so who would it hurt? It would hurt the family. You know, like, I started 3rd grade. We were homeless. We were, like, in a Motel 6. Like, and, you know, when you start school, everyone wants to get new things.
Yeah.
You want, you know, you want a new backpack, all the things, you know, school supplies, everything. Like, I remember I was so embarrassed and, like, so ashamed that, like, I had to start with the new old backpack and everything, you know, and I used to get bullied all the time too. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, I used to get bullied by, like, the girls, and then I had, like, this one guy bully, and, like, he shot a rubber band in my eye that year when I was in 3rd grade. And it was like so many traumatic things, you know, were, like, always happening in my childhood. And my mom, she was always saving the day. You know, always saving the day. So, like, even now, when I, you know, grew up and I, like, got sober and stuff, you know, I want to be like that person for my kid. You know? I want to save the day. I don't want to give him.
He definitely always has a new backpack. I know that much.
Or knew something. You know, he definitely does. You know, so I want to give him a child that he doesn't need to recover from.
Right.
You know, like I did.
Yeah.
You know.
So, did you want to share about your dad, or no? You don't have to. You can move past that.
No, I'll share a little bit about him.
Okay.
He was I don't know, my dad, he was like the light of my life, you know. He was like my best friend. And so when he died, it was like my I don't know, it was like part of me died. You know, so I think it was since then, when I was like 13. I don't know why I'm crying so much. I was trying to fill, like, a void or, like, a hole or something, you know. So, because I don't know, we did everything together, like how I do with Lewis, like how you do with the girls. You know, I try to teach him everything because that's what my dad was, you know, for me. He taught me everything, you know, because he was there, you know, because she was working, you know, so he was there. And when I do remember, like, sometimes when he was fucked up, you know, we'd be walking to the liquor store so he could go get his 40s and stuff, you know. But he was I remember he was always taking me, though, to go get his alcohol, you know. And it's crazy because, like, with alcohol, like, we could just go get it at the store.
Yeah.
You know, it can look like nothing, but on the inside, it could be, it could be everything. Like, who would have thought? Like if I was walking Lewis to go get drugs with me, you know, like, and even when I was in my addiction, and Lewis was with me, I never, like, I mean, you knew, I never subjected him, ever to any of that. Like, I would do what I had to do, and I would, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't bring him even around those people. Like, I'd be in the car. Well, we'd be waiting hours if we had to, you know? Like, I always tried to, I tried to deal with my disease and with my sickness and try and still be a mom and put on a front, you know? I think I tried to do a lot better than what my dad did for me because, like, I saw it all the time, you know? I always said I was walking with him to the damn liquor store, you know. Like, at the time, I didn't know, you know.
It seems normal.
Moseying along, you know. It's 10 o'clock at night. Mom's working at the Stater Brothers. We're walking to go get a tall can before she comes back. Yeah. You know. So So yeah, even though he was that, you know, there were a lot of good times too. Like he did try, even though he didn't have that upbringing, you know, he loved us a lot. And even like when my mom filed for divorce, like he gave up, that was it. Like that day, that was it. Like she told him, you know, I filed for a divorce, and then he literally died like almost a date to when it was final. Yeah. Like a whole year later, like that was it, because his disease was taken over. Because when I was younger, he would get like, I don't know, his legs would swell up, you know, and like something would be wrong. And it's so funny, just like me, don't want to go to the damn doctors, you know, don't want to go to the dentist, or, you know, don't want to. Now I realize who I get it from, you know. Yeah. And he never wanted to go do it because he had hepatitis C. He had cirrhosis of the liver, you know. And my mom had gotten tested, and luckily she didn't catch it from him or anything. Yeah. But he got it any way you could get it, you know, because he was sharing needles. He was doing all the things you could do to get it, you know, in prison, you know, doing all kinds of stuff. So he was like ashamed and everything. You know, and he didn't want to take care of himself, you know, and they had just come out with like, I don't know if it was a pill or a shot where it could prolong your life, but you got to be sick for like a year. And as stubborn as that freaking man was, he didn't want to be sick for a year to prolong his life. Right. You know, so it was like when she like filed and she told him, you know, she was like, how are you going to give up? You know, and that's like, I'm always thinking like, I'm not going to give up, you know, like I'm not going to give up on Lewis, you know, because I always think of that moment, like when she told him he was fucking sleeping and it was like 2:00 in the middle of the day, you know, and she went and like kicked him in the bed. It was like, wake up, you know, like, because he forgot about me at school. You know, it was getting to the point where he was always forgetting about me at school. Yeah. You know, somebody that would show up all the time and would have like an ice cream, you know, on the hot days, or like a cold pop or something, you know, or like a snack or something, turn into somebody like I didn't even recognize, like somebody that never showed up. Like one of her coworkers that picked up her daughter from my school too, she would wait there to see if he would show up to pick me up, you know, and then he wouldn't pick me up. So then like she would take me home, and then like my mom happened. She was so mad, you know, because she was like, no, because she called her at the store, you know, because the phones weren't really a thing at the time. We barely got the cell phones, you know. Yeah. And so I remember he had a big old phone, you know, it was some big old things. And I ended up getting it too when he fucking died. That's how I got my first cell phone, when he fucking died, you know. So sorry, I didn't mean to beg. So freaking she goes and wakes him up and tells him, you know, like she's filing for divorce, and he didn't even care, you know, didn't even care. Like, and then his life just went downhill for like a whole year. I just watched him like allow his life to like crumble and go downhill. Like he sold all the furniture, let himself get evicted, living in the car, got rid of the car, got a fucking Suburban, and was like living in a Suburban, you know, and like picking me up from school in the Suburban. But you could not tell that he was doing that because the Suburban was tricked out. It was like a fucking lowered Suburban, and everybody thought I was so sick. So everybody started getting their Suburbans lowered and putting rims on them and shit, you know. Yeah. We started a little trend and shit, you know. Lo and behold, he's fucking living in the thing. Yeah. You know, and he was, I don't even know if he was like telling us. It's so funny because still to this day, I keep up this. I don't know if it's a lie or not, but he used to tell us he was being like a little extra in Hollywood, and he was going out there. And now I come to think of it, we used to be going out to fucking Hollywood, and what were we doing out there and going on those streets, and what were we getting, you know? And, and he was telling us all these things. And I remember one time he told us, you know, that Like Mike movie? Mm-hmm. He told us that he was an extra in that movie. So till this day, I'll be like, yeah, he's an extra in that movie. Like, I don't know where he is, but he's in there, you know? Oh my God, you know? But whenever I, you know, had relapse since I had Lewis, I used to always think of her saying that to him. Like, what about your daughter? You know, like, what about your kid? Yeah. You know, like that's what I like when I was in the rooms too, like when I'd be in there, like, cause I had to take him with me. I don't know if you remember, I had to take him with me to IVRS, you know, and he was, he had his first birthday, you know, but I was sober. I was sober, you know, for his first birthday, you know, like I was so ashamed though that I was in that situation, you know, that like
my pain, it was like my pain had led me, you know, to that relapse, to like that moment of weakness, to allow that excuse to like creep in and be like, no, it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
I can get high. Because you know what? Getting high is so much better than fucking feeling.
Yeah.
Like, would we ever do this right now? Would we ever cry like this when we're fucking high on fucking heroin, meth, or fentanyl? Fuck no.
No.
Catch me fucking slipping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want to feel anything. Anything's too hard. Right away, run for the hills.
Yeah.
You know?
I had my
So-
kids there too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I do too.
I did a
Really?
Thanksgiving and a Christmas there. with them.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you guys feel?
I felt good about it because it was so much better than it had been.
Yeah.
But it still wasn't great, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I felt.
They try to make it cool. you
Yeah.
know. They do their best over there, you know,
Yeah.
but it was difficult for
Yeah,
sure.
it is.
Yeah.
It like people don't understand. Like, and I was so ashamed too, because like I had to uproot our whole life,
Yeah.
you know, and it was about to be his first birthday, and my in-law, she was coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and my sister-in-law, she was coming out. My father-in-law wasn't coming out. Cause see, my son's father, he passed away, you know, when I was pregnant, like a week after we found out we were pregnant, you know, and so the in-laws were coming out, you know, it's his first birthday and everything, and the whole time that I had a relapse, like, cause I relapsed, well, he was like, I had to stop breastfeeding and everything, you know, cause I was a breastfeeding mom, like that baby was chunky as fuck, you know, cause I was healthy, my baby was healthy, you know, but I was like. I was in so much pain, you know, like mentally, because like my whole pregnancy, I didn't deal with his dad's death.
Yeah.
So it was like all this shit was coming, you know, and like every day was getting like harder and harder. And then my ex had gotten out, you know, and I kicked it with him for like a good month and didn't get high. Like we did normal things and kind of, I just wanted somebody to like, I wanted somebody that I was comfortable with to like be there, you know, with like me and Lewis. Cause I didn't have that with anybody, you know, I didn't get to like experience like, you know, my dude carrying the car seat or like pushing him, you know, like the little things, you know,
Yeah.
which are like everything, you know. And so like I trust him a lot, you know, and I trust him with my kid too, like even though he is what he is now. Like when he wasn't all in that, when he wasn't like all in the drug scene and everything, because when he just got out, he was being good for a little bit, you know, like we were being good together, and I knew it was gonna lead, you know, to like a relapse, but I kind of like, I don't know if I needed to get that out of my system or something, like, because
Could
I
be.
feel like I had reservations, because when I had gotten sober, when I had him with IVRS and stuff, you know, and I put myself in a 6-month-long mommy and me outpatient program with him too,
yeah.
you know, so it was like right after I had graduated that, he had gotten out, and then, you know, that had happened right before the first birthday, you know, so I had reservations and stuff, and I think like in order to fully do this thing and really do it, like I'm doing it now, like I'm doing it, you know. I don't have reservations. I don't have like I mean, I might get a little sneaky link thought here and there, you know. I go into Upland, I might, you know, I could just go over here by the high school. I could just swing on by in the street real quick.
That
you
house
know?
still there?
It's still there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's still there.
Well, I know.
You know what I mean? I'm sure it's still there, yeah.
Is it still a trap house?
I'm sure it still is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that
Honestly,
house.
I wouldn't doubt if it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, we could go anywhere of our spots.
Right,
And
yeah.
we can find somebody, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's crazy because like before, when those thoughts would creep in, you know, like I would entertain it, I'd allow it or whatever, and sooner or later it would happen, you know. But it's like, I don't, like when I get those thoughts, I don't entertain it anymore, because it's like, it's so crazy, I don't even want it anymore.
Yeah.
I used to, it's weird, like I used to earn for that little, it's like a badness
Yeah.
in you,
Right.
and you want to do the bad things, you know.
Yeah.
Like I like being bad sometimes,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm really good at being bad. That's a bad part about it, you know? Like, I could be really I could be really good at being bad, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm amazing at being good,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like, why feed that part of me? Because that part brings no good, you know? And that part's not who I'm trying to be now,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like, every time I get those thoughts, it's like, it's so nice now because I feel I have the strength to just push them out and push them away, you know, or I fight back with that thought. You know, I'm like the angel and that's the devil, you know.
I want to go back a little bit to like where your use started.
Where my what? My use? Where
Yeah,
I started
like,
using?
where
Oh,
you started
yeah.
using. The beginning.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's crazy because, you know, when you see movies and stuff of people using, I remember when I was younger, I saw one time like somebody like twisting, you know, like 10 and 2 in it. And I was like, I didn't know what that was, you know, because I was young at the time. And then I had learned about all that and stuff. But I remember when I had seen, like, I don't know what it was, but I had seen that. And I always like had wondered about that,
Yeah.
you know. And so like, it was because I had seen like drugs on a movie or something and they had romanticized it.
Yeah.
You know, they glamorized it. It wasn't like, oh my God, like look at now they're homeless. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like
They leave
look
that
at-
part out.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they make it seem so good, you know? Like, and so when I was 13, when I was in junior high, I was best friends with I was in this preppy school. I was in the school in Upland, and it was like a bunch of rich kids, you know. And so my mom wanted to put me in a better school district because like they were getting the divorce, okay, and she didn't want me in the school district I was in because she worked in Upland, and so the teachers were telling her like how great, you know, the schools were, like put your daughter in this school, you know. And I had an aunt that lived up there, so we used her address. And so I was going to this really good junior high, and I was influenced by these kids, you know. I wanted to be cool like these kids, and I was friends with this one girl, and we used to talk about smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. Yeah.
We thought cigarettes were so cool, you know. And so we smoked cigarettes one time in Huntington when we stayed with her parents on their yacht, you know. And we snuck away, and she ends up crashing her mom's Mercedes. Like, we were trying to be bad, you know. And so then once the cigarettes were in my system, then I was like, oh, cool. Well, like I don't know. It was never really like alcohol for me. Smoking, I don't know, something about smoking. I don't know. It just intrigued me, and
Yeah.
it just like it kind of does. I don't know what it is, you know. Like even remember I used to hate smoking cigarettes. I could not stand cigarettes, bro. I would like, if you smoke cigarettes, I'd take it away from me. Like I would be so mad. And then like when I moved out to Florida and I got sober, I smoked cigarettes, you know. But I don't know. I smoked weed, you know, when I was 13 too, and weed that was it for me. Like that was it, because weed, like my dad had died, you know, and so I had smoked weed for the first time, and it made me happy.
Yeah.
It didn't make me sad anymore, and it made me like, what's up, guys? You know, like let's go back to school. You know, like we were on our break. Like we snuck away or something. Like when we were in junior high, you know, and we stuck away, we smoked, and then that just led into high school and smoking. And I would drink every once in a while, but I was always the smoker, and my girlfriends were always drinking.
Yeah.
Or rolling.
Yeah.
You know?
It was that era.
Yeah, I remember that era. Yeah, it was that era. And I didn't roll because the guy that I was with, my little stupid high school sweetheart, he didn't like that. And I didn't really like that either because I didn't know too much about it too. And weed was enough for me. Like, we would vibe out and smoke and, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, be young teenagers, you know? Like, that was enough. And then we had broken up. We were together for 7 years. This is when I started the drugs. Like, I never even told you this too, because I don't think I told you about him. Because I had to block him out, and I had to cut him off, and I had to like change everything about myself because I was so in love with this person. Because my dad had died, okay, you know, and then like I had, you know, this boy comes into my life, you know, and this boy was like after me. It was so funny. This boy was after me for like a good year. And I was like, no, you got a girlfriend, you know, get out of here, you know. He's all dating this girl from another school. He's trying to hook up with this girl at our school too. And I'm like, she's this little player, you know, play on, you know. You know. And so like one night we're at a party and somebody like introduces us, and then that was it. We were on and off for fucking forever, for years, But I was so in love with him too because he came from a really good family, and like I didn't have that, and I wanted, like, I was like, the way I see it, if I'm gonna have a family with somebody, I want that man to come from a good family.
Yeah.
I want us to have a good family unit. I want to give my kids a good family unit, like parents that are still together, his parents, you know what I'm saying? Like my parents, that was gone a long time ago, but you know what I'm saying? Like we still got hope for you,
Yeah.
So like he came from a really good family and they supported him so much. Like the love and support that this boy got, no matter what he did, let me tell you, and he did some things, it was unconditional. And I was just like I wanted that family. I wanted to be with that family, So I was molding myself to be perfect little housewife. His mom was a teacher. Well, guess what? I want to be a teacher too, you get paid in summer. Guess what? I want to get paid too, girl. Like we going to the river. Where are we going? Because we were going all over the place, We did stuff all the time, and like my mom was involved, like it was everything like it should have been,
Yeah.
But he was always like, oh, well, this is great. And I know I could be with you forever, but I always got that what if in the back of my head,
Yeah.
And so that what if just drew us apart. And that what if is like basically what broke us up. And then I spun out of control.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't believe. I was just like, I dedicated so much time and love and effort into myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was molding myself to be his little wife,
Yeah.
Mrs. Downtown Danny Brown, like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought it was such an honor to be that Mrs. Brown, with him on his arm.
Yeah.
Like I never once was I ever thinking about like a drug life, a fucking, like the plan B or whatever. Like that was it. Plan A was it. There was no other plans,
Mm-hmm.
So when it didn't work out, I was like, I felt like I was a single mom trying to pick up the pieces, like my world had crumbled. And then he was fucking in drugs. He was diving into all kinds of things. And it was crazy because before I got into it, I was watching him in it and I was so mad about it. Like watching him deteriorate his life. And then I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I could numb myself too,
Yeah.
Why not? Look at how he does it. Like, I could do it too, And I literally saw someone, they were smoking a little 80 or whatever, remember? Right when they came out and I was like, oh, and they're like, they call it chasing the dragon or whatever, I was like, oh, so, I like watched them do it and then I did it and I was like, well, that's it.
This is it.
This is it. So the weekends, because I was working full time. I always was working. I always had a job because my mom was like, if you want things, you better work.
Right.
So I always had a job. I was always working either one or two jobs, going to school. So I was like, I'm working, but I'm getting high on the weekends, and then the weekends just wasn't enough.
Right.
The pain was there because, of course, I wasn't doing anything with it.
Yeah.
So it was off to the races.
And that's where it started?
That's where it started.
Was that in high school or just out of high school?
It was like right out of high school. It was like right before I was turning like 21.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's when it took off?
Like right around there, yeah. Because I had tried, like I dabbled a bit. Like I tried, we went to like my girlfriends and like my guy friends. We went to EDC and stuff. Like my homie Vinny, he got us all EDC tickets to Vegas, took us out. So first time I tried Molly and whatever, but I was way late in the game. I wasn't like 13, 14, I was like 20, 21, 22. And so around there, that's when I first started, doing it because I was just like, I don't know. I never thought about going to a therapist or whatever. And people always made rehab like it was so bad. Shame on you. How like, ooh, you're disgusting, like for going to rehab, like you're fucking scum of the earth. Like that's how people made it seem. So I was just like, I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
No. I've got no
How
problem.
many times have you went?
Oh man.
I know
I
of
wanna
2,
say-
but I know there's more.
So which ones do you know?
Well, you went to Florida, right?
Yeah.
And then
And then the IVRS.
yeah.
So, okay. So like before the Florida, that was because I was serious, because I was ready. So
Yeah.
before, I had been going all over. They sent me Northern Cali. They sent me to the beach. They sent me to freaking Nevada. And let me tell you, I don't even remember none of their names. The only name I remember is like First Step or something like that, and in Northern Cali. But I wasn't ready, and it was
Yeah.
because Abuse was locked up, and I needed somewhere to stay.
Yeah.
And so my mom was like, well, if you go to rehab, because I was about to be cut off on the insurance too. That's what it was. Because
Yeah.
you know when you're getting a certain
26.
age, yeah. So she's like you got to get your life together, because I'm not going to be able to help you. Like, I have insurance, I can help you get your life together, And I was like, hell no, I'm not doing that. No, And
Yeah.
well, if you want to come live with me, if you want a place to live, and da-da-da. So I would just do it just to
Right.
ride the wave with her. So
Yeah.
I had somewhere to stay until he got out. So I had a plan, And I remember when we used to write each other back and forth from him, and he'd be like, babe, like, just get sober for right now, and then when I get out,
Yeah.
And I remember this therapist, she had read that letter, and she's like, so when he gets out, so then what?
Yeah.
So then you're gonna die? And I'm like, whoa, like, chill out, girl,
Yeah.
And nobody dying over here, what I'm saying? Like, whoo, like.
It's funny because when you're in the mix of that and you hear someone say, "Oh, you're gonna die," like, shut the
Shut
fuck
the
up.
fuck
Not
up.
me.
You're
Like,
being
no,
so dramatic.
not me, right?
You're
Hell
being
no.
so dramatic.
But then if somebody did just die off of that sack, guess what? We want that sack too.
Yeah.
Like that, isn't that crazy how sick that is?
Super sick.
Yeah.
And it's
That's how
crazy
it
how
is.
sick he is because
Right?
that fool got you right exactly where I
Got
want
me.
you. Go get clean.
Right? Go get clean,
Don't run the
girl.
streets while I'm locked up. But once I'm out, we go right back to doing it. But
And
for
it's
now,
crazy because I would when I would run the streets too, like I still put money on the books. I had money on those books all the time, like and on that phone. Like homeboy could call me anytime, and homeboy would call and check. He would check up on me. He would have the homies check up on me. You know what I'm saying? Like we were in close knit on that. Like he had me wrapped around his finger.
yeah.
Like he took my phone, he took my car. Like I couldn't do anything. I was stuck at his house, I remember. Like he would throw all my shit out in the front yard,
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't even believe.
I think I remember one of
my
those
God,
times.
I couldn't even
Yeah.
believe that shit. Yeah, it's crazy. The shit that we put up with in our
Yeah.
addiction. Like, oh my God, yeah. And so one of the girls that, because it's like a mommy and me thing, and like a female thing at the IVRS, So one of these girls, because like once in a while, like I like a female or two, like once in a while,
Yeah.
So one of my old best friends,
Gave her the
Stephanie,
stay, they call it. Yeah.
right, so I don't know, there was just like something, between us, and so then when we had graduated, she was trying to hook up with me, and like we hung out a few times and stuff, but I was still getting high,
Yeah.
and I was trying to hide it from her, and I was just like, this is so messed up. Like I'm not ready. I'm not about it. How can I be with somebody that is?
Yeah.
That's trying to do right in their life, that's trying to get their life together, or that is sober, or whatever.
Most people, that's not even a thought, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're just so selfish.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. I just, and I blew her off, but I felt really bad.
I'm the type that'll write it out as long as I can.
Yeah,
Deny
you
it
do.
till then. Yeah. So, this last time,
Yeah.
what was like the motivation for you to finally get it? I know your mom's always been a big part of like motivating you, even though it doesn't feel like motivation.
Yeah,
you?
she throws me out all the time.
Yeah.
Or takes the car.
Yeah.
Or tracks the car.
Yeah. Her mom had a tracker on the car. So if she
Yeah.
didn't go where she said she was going, like her mom was blowing her up, threatening to kick her out, and she'd have to like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
You know?
So everything became like a meetup to
Yeah.
grab what I needed to grab from you. So
yeah. In
if
and
I
out.
need, if I need to go to the store, well, guess what? You're meeting me at the grocery store
Yeah. I know. I would meet you there.
or at the mall. Or
Yeah. The mall, in and out.
God, in and out. Fuck. I used to Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the places, because I had to keep up with it, because like I just needed time for myself to do it.
Yeah.
I needed time for myself to like take care of myself. I was always taking care of my son, you know. And so even when I had him with me at IVRS, I still wasn't able to fully divulge in the program and everything because he was so little too at the time. And so I was so afraid too of having him there with me. I thought something was going to happen to him, or somebody was going to steal him or something, you know, like as crazy as it sounds, but like that's where we were at too. Because I remember before I went to IVRS, my probation officer, she told me like if you don't go, I'll arrest you and I'll take him. And he'll get lost in the system.
Yeah.
And I was like, ain't nobody taking my baby. You know, like I'm going to do everything I can. So it's mostly been like her and him, you know, because like I don't want to fail them. And he deserves that.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve me running the streets.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He doesn't deserve me in jail, me stealing, me robbing, all kinds of things. He doesn't deserve that. He deserves to be proud, you know, of his mom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm all he's got. Like, what? Like, I would have failed him miserably if I was still in it.
Yeah.
You know? Because it was always like, I knew I was going to get it. I just needed to get it. I need to get it. You know what I'm saying? I had to get to that point to where I was ready. And it was like, I was ready.
Yeah.
You know? I was so ready, too, because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
I was sick and tired of, like, of showing up to daycare, you know, fucking strung out and fucking faded as fuck and everything. And he would never remember that or anything, but I will.
Yeah.
You know, and I was sick and tired of lying to my mom all the time. You know, like I was sick and tired. Like she doesn't deserve that.
Yeah.
My mom has rode the wave. You know, like nobody has stood by my side like that woman has stood by my side.
Yeah.
Like she shows up all the time. She always comes through for me, you know, and she always comes through for my son. You know, like if I could count on anybody, it is my mom, you know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be that for my son.
Yeah.
I want to be those things that I feel and I look at her and I praise her for, you know, because there was a time when like we hated each other's guts, you know, or like we were just so angry. We didn't hate each other, but we were just so angry with each other.
Yeah.
You know, and I was in my addiction.
She was frustrated and you were annoyed by it.
Yeah, because she loved me so much.
Yeah.
All she wanted was for me to get my shit together.
Yeah.
You know, just like we would want for our kids.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and at the time I was so angry with her. I'm just like, oh, you're kicking me out, and then you're telling me, oh, you're just waiting for a phone call that I'm dead. And I used to tell her, you're setting me up. You literally used to tell her that, like, you're setting me up, you know?
Yeah.
Because in my sick mind, that's how I used to spin it,
Yeah.
so that I could
Be the
play
victim.
that part, so I could be the victim, because we're always the victim.
Yeah.
We're always the victim.
So it wasn't
know?
treatment this time.
No,
What was it?
it was myself. Isn't that crazy? I didn't do anything. Like I stayed my fucking ass home and I wrote it out.
Yeah.
I fucking wrote it out, and I was like,
And that was a little over 3 years ago, right?
no, it was 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It was right before we moved out there.
To Beaumont or
Yeah.
wherever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like,
So right before you
because-
moved out of that other house?
Well, because we were in an apartment. My mom had sold the house. She
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to get away from me because
Yeah.
I was fucking up. Okay. So she moves up with Lewis's grandpa, you know, to Lake Arrowhead. And then remember, then I was staying at that house, and he kicked me out, and then
Yeah.
I was staying in the storage unit.
Yeah.
I was chilling in my storage unit
Yeah.
with my dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a summertime too, you know? And so, cause I didn't want to be in the hotels, motels, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be, I was getting high still, but I didn't want to be in there. I wanted to get straight, you know? Because I was like, my fucking family left me. Like she sold the house to get away from me.
Yeah.
Okay. And she was taking my son with her, which she had every right, because I was fucking up.
100%.
And I'm not going to take him with me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that, you know? And so she had every right to take him. And I'm so thankful, because she always provides him with a safe environment, with a safe, stable, unconditional, like loving environment. Like shit, forget about me. Like, that is her boy. Like,
Yeah.
she loves that boy. Like, oh my God, man. You know, like, I thought she loved me. Like, no, she loves him, like, unconditionally, you know. So she took him, and they went up there, and then I was like, I needed somewhere to go, you know, and I wanted to get right. And so his grandpa, who's going to Mexico for a month, and he's like, your mom needs help, you know, you need to get your shit together. So look, you can either stay where you're at, or you could come be with your family and you can get your act together, you know? So it was like, and it was crazy too, because that morning when he sent me that text, we were in, you know, there was a brand new hotel over there off of Milliken.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the convention center?
Yes.
Yeah.
It had like just opened, and we were
Yeah.
getting kicked out of there.
I got kicked out of there too before.
Yeah, we were getting kicked out. Like, what is it, X69 or what is it called? Or was it
It's like 3 letters or something.
They
yeah.
like you're not allowed at all, like on the premises. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like
86.
yes,
Yeah.
okay. So because we were in a no smoking room and we smoked it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With all the drugs, you know, and it reeked. Like, you could smell it down the hallway. So they weren't having that.
Yeah.
So they kicked us out. And I remember we went into this nasty ass place, and I was in the bathroom crying. And I'm like praying to God, and I'm just like, please, God, like, can you please give me a way? Like, could you give me a way? You know, give me a way to get there.
Yeah.
Like, you know where the end point is. Like, you know, this isn't it for me. You know, it's not me kicking it in the storage, and me, you know, I'm not going to end up an old heroin fucking whore. Like, straight up. That was my biggest fear.
Yeah.
You know, because I've never sold my body for drugs. Never, ever, ever. Okay, I've gotten taken advantage, but I've never sold myself.
Yeah.
You know, and I would be damned if I would have ended up like somebody that literally like was okay with that, you know,
Yeah.
because they get to that point.
And you could have.
And I could have.
It's the reality
You could,
of it,
yeah,
yeah.
and that is our reality when
Yeah.
we're like that, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, even now it could happen.
Yeah.
God forbid, you know. But so I'm praying, and I'm just like, please, God, and I'm telling him, you know where we end up. Don't do me like that. Boom, the text came through, and I was like, and I'm like, I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh, thank the Lord. I'm like, yes, you know, because like, and Benny was getting sick too. Remember my dog?
Yeah, we took him to the vet. remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, remember so? Yeah.
Got it paid for.
Yeah, Mike paid for the vet bills. Paid for those vet bills. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah, because that's when he was getting sick. When you remember, we
Yeah.
couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. He ended up having a collapsed trachea, so he had like this cough. He had like a problem, you know. And so I'm like, fuck, you know, my dog's sick and everything, and I'm in the storage, and I'm running around with these freaking people, you know, and my car's got a tracker on it and shit.
Yeah.
Please, God. And so he sends me that text. I'm like, boom, say less. I'm out, right? Fucking grab my shit, grab my dog, go to the storage, grab what I need to grab. Fucking bam, I'm off. Fucking up to Lake Arrowhead, okay? We're up in Lake Arrowhead, a few months. We're doing the dance, you know? I'm like, I need a job, you know, because I'm like, okay, like I can come up here, but how am I going to get Suboxone?
Yeah.
Because I need, that was the way I would kick with Suboxone. I'd get Suboxone for a few days and I'd kick. But I'd always be back on to shit, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I need Suboxone because I need to be able to kick up there and be comfortable and take care of my kid because my mom works from home and I need to be there. Like I had to be a superwoman again, you know what I'm saying? Like ain't no time to fuck around, you know?
Yeah.
We all gonna find out, you know? So I had to like keep up this whatever, and it was so hard to keep it up, you know? And then I wasn't allowed to stay up there anymore, you know, because, you know, found out that I was there basically because the house, his grandfather's house is owned by his grandfather's parents, those parents, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they don't like me because of my record. Never met me, but don't like me, you know? So they done their background check on me. So they're like, nope, mom's got to go, you know? So my mom was like, well, no, like she's trying to be with her son. I'm not going to kick my daughter out.
Yeah.
So we got an apartment, and right before we were able to move into the house, like beginning of 2020, that's when
Yeah.
we're moving into the house, you know? So I was like, I can't move into this house fucked up because she's not going to let me.
Yeah.
So fucking January 4th, that was it. Fucking started Suboxone. I got it for a few days. I kicked. I was off. And that was it. I was like, that was it, you
Yeah.
know? I'm not gonna ride that wave because this is my new life. Like
Yeah.
this is my chance, because the whole point of her getting that house was to get away from me.
Right.
And the fact that she asked me, do you want to come live with us? Like that was like God saying, hey, here's a window. You got to climb through already. Like I'm trying to pave the way for you,
Right.
So it was like I could either go back this way or we could go that way,
Yeah.
And so it was like I felt like a snake. I had to shed my skin,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I started waking up every day and becoming this version of who I am now, because at the time too, I needed something because I didn't have a program.
Yeah.
Okay, I did have a therapist, and I would meet with her once a week. It was like virtually. And I had her for like the first year, maybe 2. I can't remember too much. I ended up dropping her though, but
Yeah.
that's another story. But she helped me work through a lot,
Good.
And like one of the last things though that like we were touching on was like how I got taken advantage of and everything, and so that's too kind of what's helped me stay away too from like the dating world kind of too while I'm getting my shit together and everything, because like I don't know. I kind of feel like it was hard for me to kind of put those walls down again, to let somebody back in, and to trust that like that wouldn't happen again.
Yeah.
Because even though I'm not going to be in the same situation, I was in that situation because I was trying to get Suboxone.
Yeah.
And somebody that knew my dude that is a piece of shit did that to me.
Yeah.
And so I had to like remind myself, and I had to like attract also. It's like a mind, body, spiritual, like I have to like subtract it from my mind and attract the type of man I do want, because that's not my life anymore. And I can't bring that into this life.
Yeah.
I can't hold that
Right.
against somebody,
Yeah.
So it's like I had to like shed my skin, and I have to like wake up and like know who I want to be every day and like be that person.
Yeah.
And show Lewis too, like this is who I am. That's not who I am,
Yeah.
like
We
'cause
still struggle with that though. I do. I know you do.
Yeah, I do.
Like feeling like that
Yeah.
same old person, that
Yeah, because sometimes if I see myself a certain way,
Yeah.
it brings my mind back to like I start beating myself up like, oh, you're fucking disgusting, like look at you, you're so fucking ugly, like literally those are the thoughts that like will go through my head, and I'm just like, whoa, like what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like you don't need to beat yourself up anymore.
Right.
Like you really don't. So when I was getting sober in the beginning, because we moved into the house, it was like May, I think it was May 1st or whatever. So I had a few months to really, like knucker down on who I'm going to be when I show up there.
Yeah.
Because this is a new neighborhood that
Right.
we moved into. This is all new people and everything. Like I don't need to be that girl that was getting the cops called on her in the old neighborhood,
Yeah.
getting dragged out of the house in my t-shirt and underwear.
Yeah.
Like embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like the neighbors calling the cops because I'm on the property. Like that's like it got so bad. Remember how bad it got before she like put the house up for sale?
Yeah.
Like, man, now freaking the neighbors walk by and they say hi. They love me now,
Yeah.
Like they have me watch their animals. I got keys to the house, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I'm a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I trip out sometimes because I'm like, man, little old me, like,
Yeah.
like y'all like me, like come on, like
Yeah.
shoot, like thank you, like I've been working hard on this version, like we've been growing,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
like, man, but yeah,
So what's it been like since you moved back there?
it's
the
been
last
really
few
nice.
years? Yeah.
It's been nice, but it's been, I'll be real with you, it's been a little low key traumatizing too.
Yeah.
In the sense, because like when you're trying to, when you're in recovery and you're trying to make friends with like the same sex, it's hard making friends with the same sex. And you know how shady we can be in our addiction,
Yeah.
in our so-called friends, how shady they could be. I don't know, like, I mean, you were never shady with me.
No.
We were always good to each other, like freaking, I think, didn't I even give you a little key to the apartment too? Where the bike was stored at? Did I or no? I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
But,
Maybe.
But yeah, but like, and I never really trusted anybody.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
In
yeah,
Ontario, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be like out in the parking lot, and she wouldn't even be home, and I'd be like tweaking out on one of my cars or something, like putting new plastics on my motorcycle.
For hours too. Hours all day.
I'll blow it in a nice apartment complex. Yeah.
It was so funny. We'd be out there tweaking it. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But I love it out there. It's nice because I'm able to be this person that I want to be, you know, and people see me, they see me in my scrubs. They see me as a mom playing with my son.
Yeah.
They see me decorating my house, you know, like I'm up on the freaking roof, you know, when we were putting the lights up on the house and shit, you know, like, and it's crazy too, because like even his school, like I get treated like a normal individual.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, for us, it's so important for us to be treated like that because we've been so disrespected and we've been disrespectful too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
for people to treat us like a normal human being, like it's nice. You know?
Feels weird sometimes.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it does.
You're like,
That's what I'm saying. Like
they don't
me-
know who I am.
Yes.
You
You
know? Yeah.
know, like me. You know,
Sometimes I go in the situation not feeling normal. Like, oh,
Yes.
everybody's gonna judge me here. They're gonna look at
Yes.
me. They don't. You know, I don't look like all the other parents or
Yep.
this and that. And then
Yes.
typically it's not like that.
And nobody cares
No,
usually.
nobody cares.
Exactly.
More than we
you
do.
know? Exactly. You know.
Yeah.
It's so funny, but I like it out there. It's cool. You know, we made some friends, but it has been traumatizing because, like, I was trying to make friends, you know, with like a few, you know, moms out there, and it was sour for a little bit. You know, I brought you up a little bit of that gossip, a little bit, you know. But well, you know, one of them we mended things. You know, the other one, I'm really close to. Like, you know, I'm involved with her business and everything. You know, and for me, like that is so much more than what it looks like on the outside, because like for me, like it's part of being like a community, you know, like I'm a part of something, you know, and that's what I wanted to be. Like I wanted to belong to something. I wanted to be normal. I wanted to have friends, you know, and you know, like now being able to, like, I'm building a little, you know, community and stuff with women, you know, and it's not women that I got to worry about that are going to steal from me, that are going to compete with me, that are going to be like fake towards me or nasty or like, you know, low key root for my downfall.
Yeah.
You know, like they're all supportive. They're all like the way it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's been good, but it's been a little traumatizing. So I'm trying to come out of that, you know, trauma. And I don't know, maybe that had to happen too for this little community, you know, to be built. Like, 'cause some things need to fall apart so better things, you know, can fall together.
Yeah.
Like we all had to fall apart.
Yeah.
So this new version can emerge, you know, of us. Like, look at us. We're on a little podcast. I'm like, ooh, who would have thought? Me and you getting high in my room. We'll be over here on a podcast. Like, like totally, completely different lives.
Yeah. I look around sometimes and I'm like, how did I get here?
Right.
And I used to have those same realizations, like in a jail cell or in a rehab again, you know, like, how did I get here?
Man. Oh,
And a lot of times I feel like I don't deserve a lot of it, you know?
Yeah.
But that's just my disease talking to me.
Yeah.
You know,
You know, I
telling me
feel
I'm
like
not
that
good
a
enough.
lot. Yeah. And that's why I feel like that so much. That's why it's like important to me that I wake up and I put that I become that version that I want to be.
Yeah.
You know, because I read that quote. That's what I was going to say. I read that quote when I was like, you know, I had to have something in the beginning. Like, I need something inspirational. And I had my therapist and stuff. So I was like, I had like, you know, the apps that are like, you know, doing stuff. And I'm reading books and everything. Excuse me. And I had this one, I read this one quote, and it was like, why are you going to keep waiting to be that version when you just need to wake up and be that version of that person you want to be?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, just stop saying, oh, I'm going to be her, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, you know? So I was just like, that's it, you know? Like, I'm just going to be it. I'm going to be that version of myself. I'm going to be that confident, successful, go-getter, powerful Superman mom.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that mom, that strong-ass mom.
Yeah.
You know? and it's crazy because sometimes like I don't feel it. I don't think I deserve it, or because I got a little following or whatever on the Instagram,
Yeah.
And yesterday when we were at I was at Katie's Mother's Day event, one of the girls that I had met, that's like in the little community we're building, this girl Alondra, this other mom, she was like complimenting me on just like me and like my vibe and like my confidence and stuff, and I was just like, damn girl, if you only knew.
Yeah.
Like if you only knew like the shattered like broken little version like of me that I had to emerge from like to get here.
Yeah.
Like those little thank yous, like they mean so much. Like they don't even know how much it means, and I don't even know how to react to it too, because I'm just like, I don't know what to do with like that compliment, because I don't think I deserve it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like you fake it till you make it. Like I'm faking it till I'm making it. And it just it trips me out when like people treat us like that. It's
Like
it's
a
just
human
cool.
being.
Yes.
Yeah. I found that most of it is just showing up, waking up and showing up,
Yeah.
whether
I
you
agree
want
with
to or not.
Yep. Discipline over motivation for sure.
Yeah. Motivation gets you started, but the discipline keeps you going for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because if it wasn't, then we would just be right back to getting high the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was motivated to get clean a lot.
Oh yeah.
Just never did.
Exactly. But we were motivated to get that sack. We were motivated to chase that dealer. I
don't even think of it as motivation at that point. It's more desperation.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think so. Well, because we're so sick too.
Yeah.
Like we were past the romantic side of it.
Yeah, it was
we were
ugly.
on the survival side of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what
So
I'm saying?
how does your
Yeah.
mom feel now that you're clean and around for the last 5 years?
So, like, how I said, like, our relationship, it wasn't good at all. Like, if she had sold the house, you know what I'm saying?
away
So,
from her.
like, now it is amazing. Let me tell you. Like, now my mom, like, she's my best friend. Like, we do everything together. Like, now half the time I'd be tracking her. You know what I'm saying? Like, girl, where you going? Like, I'm going to track you, like, like.
The last few
but-
times I've seen you and heard you talk to your mom, it's like 1,000% different than it used to be.
I know.
I remember like the conversations, you'd be like yelling at each other, and now it's just like, wait, that was your mom you were talking to? You were being really nice right now.
Oh my God, I know. Like just now when we were driving over here, like I was getting off the phone with her. She called to tell me, that we made a sale, and and it was somebody in Colorado, and I was like, oh my God, like that's amazing, So she was all happy. She was telling me, and then I get off, like we were getting off the phone, and she was like, I accidentally hung up too fast, and she was like saying I love you, and so I called her back.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, sorry. I was like, okay, love you too, bye.
Yeah.
Like it's completely different now.
Yeah.
Like we do everything together. We opened a business together. You know what I mean? Like because like we wanted to do something, like we've been both kind of like not like 1,000% happy with our jobs and stuff. Like they were cutting my hours and everything, and she works so hard every month, to hit like a certain quota. And it's just like insanity, like you're working so damn hard, like, and for what? And so I've always wanted something of my own, and because I want something to give to Lewis. And so the whole thought of like, leaving something behind for him and everything, I thought I was going to do something in like the vet world and everything. I thought, like the plan was too, like I was looking at schools and everything. I was going to go back to become a doctor, a veterinarian. And I wanted to open up my own doctor. I wanted to have a regular vet and an emergency, either in the same vicinity or in the same parking lot, whatever,
Yeah.
or however, I wanted both, and I wanted to leave that for him. I wanted to bring him into that world and everything, because he loves animals too,
Yeah.
and I love animals. Like none of that's changed.
Yeah.
But it's just the vet world is not what it used to be. You
Yeah.
know, it's all corporations now, and so I'll just leave it at that. It's
all about money.
Yeah, it's
It's a
not
business.
what it used to be.
It's a business.
It is, and it's sad. you know, because it's like I got these people rushing in their pets that are dying. And I get it too, because it's, let me tell you, Mike, it's not cheap too. It's not cheap to keep the lights on. Okay. We had to make a certain amount every day. And I know what the amount is. We got to make it every day to pay for everything and to pay for everybody too, you know, and to afford all of that.
Yeah.
Vet medicine and emergency medicine is so ridiculous. Like if your dog or cat gets stung by something, a freaking vial or whatever, it's like, it's $900. You know?
Yeah.
And so that's what hurts my heart about it, is like we gotta, there has to be a way to do better for the animals.
Yeah.
In that sense, you know, and there's not, and it's like only getting worse. And so I didn't want to bring myself into it. And because too, I read something recently, like people were ripping us apart on a post, and I was reading all these comments, and somebody was trying to have both sides. And they were saying, you know, the vet world, it's not what it used to be, you know, and unfortunately it's never going to be, you know? And so I was just like, what else could I do? Like, you know, I love being creative. I love, you know, like I love being artsy fartsy. We love decorating, you know, my relationship with my mom's really good. We love to shop. We love to do stuff. And we love wreaths, you know, like we love to decorate our front door and stuff, and decorations, you know, you've driven by, you've seen the Christmas, you know, and I think probably the Halloween, right?
Yeah.
So I'll show you our stuff too, you know. It's like we like to go all out and stuff, you know, and for my son, you know, it all trickles back to Lewis.
Yeah.
It's all about my son, you know. We do it for my son, and I want to leave something, you know, for my son. And so we were like, well, what better way? Like, let's just go into business together, you know. And she's been, you know, at me like, let's do it, you know. And I was hesitant because I was just like, what if we fail?
Yeah.
Like, what if they know who I am? Nobody wants to buy from me. Like, who the fuck is this girl? Like, oh, she used to do this, she used to do that. What, you know, like all those thoughts crept into my head, and I was just like, no one's gonna buy anything. Like, you know, we're gonna fail, you know, like, and I know it should have been the opposite, but that is a part of who we are. It's the disease.
Yeah.
Whenever anything good happens, right away, it's like, oh, you don't deserve it, you know? Like, you don't.
Or when's it going to fall apart?
Exactly. When are you going to get it taken away from you?
Yeah.
When are you going to crash it? You know, like, ugh.
You know what's funny, too, is
yeah.
like when you're feeling that, that's when your mom comes in and is like,
Yes.
do it. Just do it
Yes.
anyway. Yeah.
And
It's awesome.
and I've been reading these things again, you know, and it was like, what better time than now? You're going to be 5 years down the line and wish you started.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like I'm seeing other people and their success off something that they started because they weren't afraid to do it. And that's because I was afraid, you know.
They were afraid. They just did it anyway.
They just did it anyways, yeah. You know, but who knows too how long they were afraid for.
Yeah.
You know, some of them copies from someone else and get the blueprint, you know. So
Yeah.
you know, they had it all laid out, but we're trying to do it our own, you know.
Yeah.
And I want to leave something for Lewis. And I'm not saying he's going to take over the wreath business or whatever, but this will help me open doors to more things.
Yeah.
You know, like you were one of our purchases. Like, thank you so much. You know
You're
what
welcome.
I'm saying? Like, and you put that idea in my head too about like the realtors and stuff, you
Yeah.
know? And it's just like, there's so many possibilities. Like my brain is just like, constantly like, we could do this and we could do that, and you know, Mike brought this idea to your head, and like, oh my God, and branches out all these other things.
Yeah.
You know, and it's cool because I have my mom to do it with me, and she's helping me, and she's very creative too, and she loves it, you know, like she has so much fun with it, you know. You know, and so it's like, why not? You know, what better person to do it with? You know what I'm saying? Than somebody that always shows up for me and has my back.
Yeah.
You know, like I couldn't be more blessed.
Yeah.
Like I was saying how I was praying and I was thanking God this morning. I was like, when I was getting ready, I was like, man, you really showed out today. You know, like shoot, you're over here. You know, like show me all this love. And I was thinking how I told you before we started. You know, how I thought he was holding us back from a certain situation, a certain circle, but come to find out, he really was protecting us.
Yeah.
You know, and I was just like, damn, look how you got me.
Yeah.
Like, you got me in all these corners.
Yeah.
You know, like you really like, and I brought Lewis into the bathroom, and I told him, I was like, you know, because we had to talk about God the other day, because Easter, you know, we just came from Easter, and he was like, well, Mom, like, how do I really know God is real, Mom. You know,
Yeah.
you be over here always telling me these things, you know. You know, you want to pray and stuff, you know. We go to church and stuff, you know. And so I gave him an example, and I tried to like break it down for him, you know.
Right.
Because I told him exactly what had happened, you know, because I want him to be aware of certain, you know, situations and things. And, you know, I was like, you know, God protected us, you know, like sometimes there's things going on that we don't understand. And we may think it's a punishment, you know. I said,
right.
but really it's a blessing in disguise,
Yeah.
you know.
In the middle of it, you
Yeah,
don't think
you
that.
don't
No.
think that.
Right, yeah.
You don't see it, you know. I was like, but really, and he kind of had to think about it, and he was like, yeah. He's like, you're right, Mom. He's like, wow, you know, because I'm just like, I want him to have a relationship with God, because God's the only one that saw me through those that week of getting sober. God's the only one that was able to talk me through it. Like, he was there every step of the way, you know, because I was ready. You know, I was so ready. I was just like, man, I was ready yesterday. When are we going to roll with it? You know, show me the way. You know?
And unfortunately, it has to get to that point.
Exactly.
You know?
And some
I only
people
get
don't
clean when
know.
something bad happens. Usually,
And that was me too. I would only get clean when we would get locked up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It got to be so many times, like I wouldn't even call her.
Yeah.
Because she knew the phone would be off, because we had one phone.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to have a phone, you know, so she knew that phone was off for a day or two that we were locked up.
Yeah.
You know, and I like, why would I call at this point? Like, we're gonna get out. I'll just kick and then I'll be back to my old shit again.
Yeah.
You know, but I was just like, man, I don't want to live like this. You know, like, and I see people that are still living like that we used to run around with, you know, and I'm just like I feel like I'm old and barely getting my life together. You know, we were talking about that. We felt like we were behind with some things, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm still proud, though. Like, I'm still proud of our little accomplishments, you know. But, like, I understand where you're coming from, because I feel the same way with certain things. I'm just like, man, like, what if it was me 10 years ago?
Yeah.
You know, like, how much more could I have had, you know? But you know what? We're doing it now.
Yeah. There's people still in it.
They're still in it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, they're still in it. And I really hope that we can show them that it's worth the doing.
Yeah.
You know, I never would have thought I'd be a little influencer, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's funny for me to say, you know, but I really am. Like, I worked hard for all that.
Yeah.
I worked really hard to get that little following, to get on those little apps, to do that stuff, to be like, to make commission on it, you know? Like, I get paid now. If anybody goes on my Instagram,
You get paid to dress up.
I get paid to dress up. I get paid for you to talk shit to me. You can talk shit to me and I'll get paid for that.
Yeah.
Run your mouth. It's so funny. I tell them, run that mouth. I don't even care, you know. I'm getting paid.
Do you get the clothes for free too?
Some of them, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It just depends on like what company or whatever. Like, I got a lot of figs, my scrubs for free.
Yeah.
A lot of them. I got shoes. They laced me up. I had the top. I had the bottoms. Okay. They gave me like those those kind of like pressure kind of socks, you know?
Yeah.
I got the tall kind and the short kind, and I got shoes and jackets. I was like, but bam, man, you know? So like, who would have thought? I never would have thought. Over here, jacking stores and shit, you know? Like,
Now they're giving it to you.
now they're giving it to me. Now they're asking me to wear it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, man, it trips me out.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you, Jasmine, for coming on. I got one more question for you
Yes,
before we
yes.
finish up. If you could give a piece of advice to somebody who's been through some of the certain things that you've been through, or even now, like raising a son on their own, you know, like what would that be?
You know that little saying. What was that saying? It's like my hardest. What is it? My hardest day high is still
No,
better.
my hardest day clean is better than my
Best
funnest
day.
Best day, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that right there. You know, even when I have hard moments and stuff, and I'm in it, I'm just like, you know, it was worth it.
Yeah.
It was worth it. To
That's what I
get
signed up
clean.
for.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
worth it to get here, to do this, to be this, you know, even on the hard days. Like, look how lucky I am to have a hard day.
Yeah.
Look how lucky I am to have a good day. Like, I went from sleeping in cars, sleeping on the streets, you know, not having anywhere to sleep, being locked up, you know, like stealing, like doing all kinds of stuff, to now like having my own car, my own job, you know what I'm saying? Like being able to take care of my kid, a business, being able to pay for his extracurricular activities and be there. Like what? Like I get to be there. You know, I'm over there, but I'm the mom, you know what I'm saying? I'm over here like shooting the ball with him, I do it all with him, you know? Like I'm able to do that now, you know? And it's like, it's all worth it. Like, how could you not want to do that? How could you not want to be there? You know what I'm saying? Like life is happening. And like we're missing out, you know, like we're worth it. Like life, it is worth it, you know, like when you're ready, you know, because there will come a time when you will be ready, you know, just like pray for God to guide you and to lead you, you know, because the time will come and you just need to take that chance, because I promise you it'll be better than any time or chance you've ever taken.
Yeah.
You know, God will show up and he'll show out. You just gotta what is it? Let the miracle happen. You know what I'm saying? Because it will.
Yeah.
All the little gimmicks and sayings, as cheesy as they are, they are true. You know, it's true. You know. So. All
right. Thank you, Jasmine,
No,
for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, Jasmine,
so
for coming
much.
on.
Thank you.
Everybody listening, please subscribe, like, comment, share this message with anybody who you feel needs to hear Jasmine. Make sure you follow us on IG, which is at the Messages Hope Podcast, _ between each word. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
I hope I don't traumatize y'all too much.
They're used to it.
Thank you, guys.
My life like looking for the right state of mind to get my time right. I just hope my time's right. Lost up in the limelight, but you'll never know unless you walked up in my shoes.
As someone who struggled with addiction in the past, how does it feel to be able to give hope to others who are still struggling now?
You know, it's such an honor to be able to hear other people's experiences of life, to see how when faced with the very thing that was sent to destroy you, kill you and take you out forever didn't, but rather you have been given a second chance to give hope and be a light for those who are still in the dark. So don't be afraid to share your message to the world. You never know whose life you might be saving.